Hey guys, this is Sabrina, and in today's video, we're going to be diving into another creepy video, this time not on TikTok of all things. This video I actually found on Instagram, and the video itself is not creepy. This is another one where it's asking for comments from people of creepy experiences that they have had. And the video says, funeral directors, tell me your strangest paranormal experience while doing your job. And I thought, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, this has got to be good. So let's dive into the comments and see what we find. I once had an EMT who passed of cancer in her late 40s. She was similar build / stature to our receptionist. Once our prep room guys rolled her casket into a viewing room, I watched what I thought was our receptionist enter the room and stand over the casket and stare at her from the security cameras. I looked away briefly, and once I looked back up, she was gone. I called the reception and asked if she'd been in there, and she said she hadn't left her desk. Went in and looked at the woman in her casket. Pretty sure I'd just seen her observing herself. Oh, wow. That is weird. I heard the story on local news in Russia years ago, and it still gives me the creeps. A family lost one of their sisters and decided to have her cremated. Afterwards, her sister got home and found a strange voicemail. It was mostly static, but through the noise she could hear a woman's voice saying that she was unbearably hot, extremely thirsty, and begging for water. What? She immediately recognized the voice as her dead sister's. The family contacted the funeral home and learned that the voicemail had come in the exact time her sister was being cremated. I heard the actual recording and I still think about it. Oh my God, what? Not a funeral director, but in the early morning of my dad's passing in the afternoon in the hospital this January, I was at home awake in bed. I closed my eyes and kept seeing an unfamiliar bathroom that was dimly lit through a door. I'd open my eyes, look around my bedroom, but as soon as I closed my eyes, I'd see it again, but a bit closer. I ended up just getting out of bed and I didn't think any more of it. Dad passed at 5 p.m. I drove the 2 hours back down the coast. The next day, when piecing his last hours from family and hospital staff, I found out at the exact time I had my vision, my father was having his last conscious memory and moments. He was being assisted to the bathroom exactly as I saw it, where he then began screaming in agony and then was given meds and went unconscious and hours later passed. I loved him so much and had been so concerned about leaving him in case he passed before I could get back. Turns out I was with him on the same level during his final living awareness. Love you heaps, Dad. Aw, that's so sad. Not a funeral director, but years ago I rented an apartment and shared it with 3 other friends. 2 or 3 times when I was brushing my teeth, I would see with a corner of my eye that my roommate was standing in the door looking at me. Each time I would go to the room and ask her what she wanted, but she always said she never left the room. I knew something was odd, but I thought it's just my eyes until my other flatmate told me this. We have a ghost in the flat. I was brushing my teeth, ... And she told me exactly the same story as mine. We got some holy water and sprinkled it around the flat, which seemed to help. Weird. My mom has a Santa Muerte Holy Death shrine down the hallway. One night I was up around 3 a.m. scrolling my phone. I got a weird feeling something was watching over me. Felt a cold chill go down my back. I looked over and saw what looked like the Santa Muerte Holy Death just standing there staring at me for a second. It looked as tall as me. I turned my flash on from my phone to point and look, and there was nothing. For a week straight, I did my best to walk by it and avoid it. My mom even put it away for a few days. Ooh, interesting. Not a funeral director, but I had a paranormal experience. I was a full-time carer for my grandmother during COVID, and it was one of the most cherished experiences I will ever have with my grandmother. I was alone at the house that she used to live in, and when she passed, and a couple of days after the funeral was finished, I heard her voice, but younger, calling up the stairs to me. She said, "Hey, hun." She always used to refer to anyone in that way when she wanted help or wanted to ask something. It brought me to tears. Aww. I worked in a mortuary, and one night I stayed late to finish up some paperwork. I kept hearing noises in a back room while I was in the office. It was the room where we kept all of the unclaimed ashes. I went to investigate and found nothing. When I went back to the office, one of the panels on the ceiling had been moved to the side, exposing the attic crawl space. It was right above my office chair. I went home after that. Yeah, I would have too. I did a funeral for a 4-year-old little boy. Oh, this little boy loved pelicans. He had toy pelicans in his coffin. He had pictures of pelicans all over his coffin. This little man was a burial out in the country at a very small cemetery. As the coffin was lowering into the grave, remembering we were hundreds of kilometers from the coast, 4 pelicans at 10 feet off the ground flew over the formation. You could have heard a pin drop. Oh my God, that's so sad. A close friend passed in a motorcycle accident a week after saving me from my own motorcycle accident. He bought me a backpack that took most of the impact. 3 days after he passed, I couldn't sleep, so I went for a walk and was thinking about him. All of a sudden, I got goosebumps and started feeling weird. I turn around and a thick fog is coming at me across a soccer field as fast as a man sprinting and stopped at my feet. Him and I also played soccer together. I truly believe this and a couple of other things that happened were his way of telling me he is doing all right and in a better place. Keep watching over me, Mackie. I love you, miss you. Aww. These are like a lot more heartwarming than I expected. Not a funeral director, but shortly after my uncle passed, my mom said to herself, "I hope you're okay," and the next minute his phone she kept on her bedside table started ringing. She shouts for me to come downstairs, and when we answer this unknown number calling, it was my uncle putting on his Irish accent, as he used to do, and just repeated the same thing. "Hello there, Patty, are you there?" It went on like a loop for over 9 minutes before we cut the call off. When we checked the call log, there was no record of it. Got the whole thing on video. Oh. Wow, that's interesting. I had a song picked for my stillborn daughter. When I heard the song, I knew she was with me, connecting. I visited her gravesite one day with her 3 sisters. Upon entering the car to drive home, her song came on. Not halfway through, but precisely at the beginning. All 4 of us burst into tears. Oh my God. Not a funeral director, but my first job was as a receptionist at a funeral home my uncle owned. I swear on multiple occasions I heard an old lady whisper into my ear that I had lovely hair, and I'd turn around and nothing. Genuinely scary every time. Ooh, that is scary. My dad is a funeral director, and he knows when someone is still around overlooking themselves to watch or something. But he has told me stories that he knows when someone is bad, and I mean really bad, that he knows they have to get them out and in the ground immediately. Interesting. I wonder what they mean by bad, like they were a bad person, or like they're like really like causing a lot of like hauntings or something. That's interesting. Who replied? Let me see. Yeah, bad how? I don't know. He just told me that he was a bad dude and he could feel it. He doesn't like to tell stories whether they are good or bad, as he doesn't want to invite them into our home. Oh, okay. Interesting. Not a funeral director, but my daughter predicted her own death from being an infant, and when my husband died, I heard him coming through the door and taking his shoes off, even though he wasn't in the same country as me. I caught myself imagining it just before I shouted hello to him, and then about 20 minutes later, got the call saying he'd been murdered. Oh my God, that's awful. I prepped a body for 3 viewings over 3 nights. Every morning I came back into work, I noticed his watch band was undone. I'd do it back up and present him back out for viewing. Sure enough, next morning his watch would be undone again. Anyway, on the last night, I was about to wheel him out for viewing, and the eldest son came and saw me. He said, "Hey, just heads up, Dad wears his watch on his right hand. Can you please change it over?" I've got a million of these stories. Wow, those were even better than I expected. Like, better as in, I mean, they're paranormal, but paranormal in the sense of like loved ones that have passed on, which is both heartwarming and also, you know, eerie. Definitely gonna do a part 2 to this, and we're gonna read some more comments because it goes on. There's tons. I don't know how many comments on this video, but I've been going for like 10 minutes now. I'm gonna stop for now, and we will read some more later. I have the video linked below as well if you want to go check it out for yourself. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.